Joe Alberti? Is it?
Jerry Fuentes.
Oh, Jerry. Oh, sorry. Jerry, you go first, Jerry. I thought somebody said no. I'll take it back, so I apologize on that. Your name and address, thanks.
Jerry Fuentes from 2918 Grand Avenue, Baldwin. I literally live across the street where that proposed entrance is at.
Just going to ask you to turn that mic, just push up a little bit more. Just want to make sure I hear you there. There we go.
I literally live across the street where that entrance on Grand Avenue is proposed to be put. Like I said, literally on Tuesday, there was a car accident that wiped out 3 cars at 12 o'clock. And the traffic, like Jeanette said earlier, is incredible. It's, when the school is coming in, me just getting out of my driveway, I gotta wait for somebody nice to let me out of my driveway. Because if I don't, it's like I gotta literally, if I'm lucky, I can make a right hand, make 3 rights, make a left. The gas station, I think everybody here don't have a problem with the 7-Eleven. The problem is with the gas station. Nobody has a problem with the 7-Eleven. It's the gas station. Nobody wants that in their neighborhood. Nobody wants that. 24 hours is even worse. If it was just a gas, even if just a 24-hour gas station works, nobody wants to hear traffic at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody wants the health issues that come with gas stations. It's just, it looks pretty. It's a pretty, no, all designs look pretty until it comes to real life. And then a year or 2 from now, when the shrubbery is brown and people are driving in at all types of night, the oil slicks from cars that are leaking gas that are coming in, going down the block, it does nothing for the neighborhood. And like I said, they're literally taking one empty structure, building something, and across the street where the 7-Eleven is now, it can be another empty structure. And there's literally another store across the street from that one that they proposed to make a dairy barn, but it's been empty. Nobody buys it. It's a bad proposal for everybody that lives there. It's great for the job.
I'm here as a resident and as the president of the board of Barclays condos at Brooklyn Harbor. We have 20 homes with 11 backyards adjacent to and are directly affected by this proposal. The majority of our residents are opposed to this project because of quality of life, traffic safety, and decreased property values. And we are unanimous except for one owner that's in dissent. Many of us are here, and I want to submit a petition of some 8 owners that couldn't make it today. I want to highlight a few sections of the town building zone ordinance for gasoline stations that this proposal is in conflict with and in violation of. Number 330 says the legislative intent is to preserve property values. Section 336B, no gas station shall be open closer than 1,000 feet from existing station. There is a Shell station on Atlantic Avenue and Grand Boulevard, which is about 800 and something feet away. And Section 336F, which states no driveway shall be located within 10 feet of an adjoining property line. The existing entrance that's there now on Grand Avenue, it's actually less than 5 feet from our property line. So more needs to be done to address the existing traffic conflicts and frequent accidents at this intersection and on Grand Avenue. Before this application is considered further, we ask that additional mitigation measures be included in the covenants and restrictions, for this, before this can, into covenants and restrictions, and the concerns that have been raised by the residents have been addressed more further. While we have had discussion in good faith with the proposers, that does not mean that we are in consent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Next, I have Joe Alberti. Joe? Okay. I know John Aniano had to go outside, put money in his meter. You're back. I know you're back, John. Just give your name and address to the record. Thanks.
It's John Aniano. I live at 638 Lincoln Street in Baldwin Harbor. I'm here at, on late notice, basically, because as I had heard, this notification just went out to us at least 3 days ago. And I do speak on behalf of a couple of my neighbors who also weren't able to be here. We all realize, it was a very nice presentation, as it was, spoken about before. And the question is it really a desirable use? As it is, there are 3 operating gas stations, as was mentioned, and there's a 4th that's just about ready to open, almost diagonally across the street from this proposed property. And I understand that's going to be a 24-hour gas station as well. So I'm really wondering why the necessity for a 24-hour station. Again, there's also severe traffic problems on Grand Avenue, primarily during the school year. Grand Avenue is backed up for sometimes up to a half hour, with school buses. It's almost impossible to use Grand Avenue to get in and out in a timely fashion and out of the neighborhood. And, the intersection, as has been noted, is a dangerous one at that. And, what about the what about the undesirables that would possibly come into the neighborhood, due to the fact that there's a 24-hour operating business there. I mean, I strongly suggest that there could be a better use. It's not the 7-Eleven per se, it's just the gas station operating in, I think, unnecessarily. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, I have Nishan Armour. How you doing? Just give me your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good morning. Nishana Amor. I'm at 2919 Grand Avenue. I'm also in the Barclay condos. I'm definitely not going to repeat everything that my neighbors have said. I agree with them that I'm not in support of the gas station. I just want to point out a couple of things that was mentioned, or just bring to attention that we talk about having people purchasing a lot of these vacant establishments, but they're allowed to have them, and they sit there for 7 years, and now they're eyesores, and now they want to build something, as beautiful as this gas station and convenience store. However, for the last 7 years, it's been sitting there deteriorating and becoming that eyesore. So we have to be careful about allowing people to get these properties and not do anything and have no repercussions for not doing anything. As one of my neighbors said, we'll only have one 7-Eleven move from across the street, from one street to the next, and now we're going to have another vacant property that can become another eyesore. As he mentioned earlier, that cleaners have been there and has not been taken care of for a very long time. That building has been sitting there vacant for almost 11 years. So again, he's had that cleaners for that long of a time and nothing's there. There's garbage that's built up behind there all the time. If he's allowed to purchase this property but not maintain it, but then we have our neighbors who go back there to actually clean it up because that's how so we need to be careful about that.
We have, I can't even, more than 20 sideswipe cars this year. There is no way that any traffic study took that into account. My neighbors have also mentioned that potentially we will have 5 gas stations in a half-mile radius. I don't understand why that would be necessary. Now, why not allow us to come at night where more of my neighbors would have come to speak as well? We bought in Baldwin because our friends told us, come to Baldwin. We lived in Queens before, when we were first married. Come to Baldwin. You're going to love it here. And we have. But I honestly don't think that a gas station is going to increase the love that we have for Baldwin. And so I ask, at the very least, that we the residents be provided with an environmental impact study, and that the town council, perhaps, if anything, move this measure to a future hearing date where we actually have the ability to see all of the information, not just the cherry-picked info. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Jason Ferenc? Okay, okay. Karen Montalbano? Morning, name and address, thank you.
Aaron Montalbano, Baldwin, Government Liaison from the Baldwin Civic Association. It's true, Baldwin Civic Association was informed of the plans, but only last week when this meeting had been scheduled. They came to us late, all right? Many other developers have contacted us as they were making plans, as we've talked about things, confirmed things with them. We have not had a chance to really sit down and discuss this with the developers because we've only had a chance to email back and forth in the past 5 days, all right? We have major concerns about the traffic. They're trying to put in a left turn lane into an in and out on Grand Avenue, all right? Now, that left turn lane, if you look at it, starts right after you cross over Atlantic Avenue. You're going to have backups all over the place with that. And then, as many people have mentioned, how are you putting a left turn lane right across the street from driveways? Where are these people supposed to go? There's an in and out onto Grand Avenue, all right? Trying to make a turn into that is going to be insane. We also have the additional traffic on Grand Avenue on the west side of Baldwin, okay? That is the major thoroughfare for people to go down to their homes. As they mentioned, it is the Baldwin Middle School's right down end of Grand Avenue. You have Baldwin Middle School. Not only do you have buses, they may be crossing there. Are we going to have extra protection for them? We already have, as also mentioned, figures from each other. Really want to have a chance and discuss all of these issues and our concerns with the developers. I noticed that they have talked to the fire department, they've talked to the chamber, and they were able to have these people get together and give them letters of support. But they didn't reach out to the Baldwin Civic Association until the last moment. I really think that considering all of these factors, this is something that should be put off for a decision so that these people who live nearby, who have health concerns, who have concerns about the traffic in their area, can have their concerns addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montalbano. Take care. Annie Beckles? you doing? If you give your name and address, thanks.
Very good. Again, my name is Annie Beckles. I live at 597, I'm sorry, that's my mother's address. I live at, where do I live? 752 Alwyn Street in Baldwin Harbor.
Okay.
And as you can see, I'm very nervous.
No, don't be nervous. Just come on.
I'm
Don't worry.
nervous. Okay, a lot of my neighbors express my very sentiments, okay, concerning this construction. And if you take a look at the picture, okay, they show you exactly what they want you to see. They don't give you the full impact of the picture of where it will be. It's right across the street from another drive-through business. Right? There's a 7-Eleven adjacent to that. Okay? Again, the traffic. And just like my neighbors said, every week you can count on there being a major accident right at that corner. I've lived in Baldwin Harbor for 28 years, so I've seen a lot of things happening and what's going on in the neighborhood. I come down Grand Avenue to get to the commercial districts and where I need to be, so I am stuck in the traffic as they described. One of the things that was mentioned was the environmental impact of this business. They're moving into a location where a bank was. The traffic in and out of that bank was minimal compared to a full-service gas station 24/7. There's a big difference. That's number one. And the other thing is the environmental impact of it. There are rivers, crossways, bays, lakes, tributaries all around that area. And my concern is when they dig to do this construction and install those tanks, okay, what are they going down into? And they put those tanks down there, are they going to bump into a tributary of water? It is a major flooding area, and in the past, when we had the major storms, what was it, Sandy? It was a very sad situation. The area flooded really badly, okay? It flooded so bad that a house caught on fire, and the Baldwin Fire Department could not bring their equipment into the area, right? So in terms of emergencies, this is not real. This can't happen. And I wanted to address another little thing before I end, right? There's another 7-Eleven gas station down Grand Avenue, maybe a couple of blocks a block or so from the Long Island Railroad station. Right. It's a 7-Eleven gas station. Okay.
Gotcha. You can add your commentary with an email. We do the 3-minute time limit.
What? That I don't fight my way to get to that gas station?
Yeah.
That did right? Okay.
I got you. I got a couple more to go through here. We have a 3-minute time limit, so but you can always supplement with an email. No worries. We'll like I said, we have the 3-minute. You can supplement with either written or an email or something like that. And we'll make it part of the record. We always do. I got a couple others to go through here. Next, I have Ralph Cerulli. Thank you. All righty. Thank you. And you did a good job. You weren't nervous at all. Good morning. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Ralph Cerulli. I live at 3224 Ann Street, which is as far away as you could come or be from where this site is. But every day that I come home or every day that I leave, I have to pass this site. I think my neighbors, who seem to be the smartest people in the world in terms of this whole issue, are correct. We have a problem. If this board ever entertained this gas station, I'd ask them to consider several things. Because everything I've wrote here on my iPhone to speak to you about has been addressed. I think it's obvious that if you ever entertained this, you would close that curb cut that goes onto Grand Avenue. Don't have it. Keep the bank curb cut and keep the curb cut over by the dry cleaner. Number two, they politely say that they're going to make parking. As I left my home today, I purposely went right to see how many cars were in the parking lot. It was close to 10. The parking lot that is where the canopied walk-up, or whatever that thing is, had over 36 cars in it. And the rest of the parking lot was full as well. So obviously there are classes or whatever to make this place as popular and as full, this parking lot as full as it is. The only thing that beats it is in the evening. If you come home anytime, let's say 5, 6, 7:30, there's got to be 100 cars filling this entire area. Where are they going to go? It's gracious of them to say they're going to take a building down, but if the building is 5,000 square feet and a parking stall requires 200 square feet, I think if my math's correct, you're only going to get about 25 parking spaces. And in doing it, you're probably going to take away some of the parking spaces that they're already using that are angular parking spaces adjacent to the side of their building. This man has owned this building for many years. Is what's about to happen going to turn into the same thing that we've lived with for 7 years? Disrepair, parking lot in disrepair, weeds overgrowing. I think the board deserves a better presentation. And if they're going to approve this, please listen to what we say. This is a main thoroughfare, not only for buses, morning and evening, but also for the highway department during snow emergencies, also for all the events that go on in the park going through the main entrance. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. Next, I have Keith Pellegrino. Your name and address, please.
Yes, Keith Pellegrino, 3006 Dolan Place, Baldwin. There's a lot of issues that I will never be able to answer for because the 3 minutes is not going to let me get there. If I could do one at a time, I've been in Baldwin for 35 years, and unfortunately, I've watched a lot of deterioration. A lot of stores that are empty, a lot of vacant signs, stores that come in and out, and when you look at our entrances into Baldwin, let's talk about Oceanside into Atlantic Avenue. It's depressing. You know, as far as the sites go, the 816 building, which was the dry cleaners, I've sat with that property for years. Problem is, it only owns the property that it sits on, and it only has 4 parking spaces. Every time I've tried with an expediter to see what I could do to put something there, he says it's not going to work because we have no parking, we have no way in or out because it's its own property. As far as the 7-Eleven proposal here, for years, have the property 7 years between 2 partnerships. I've approached just about every business possible. TD Bank, Capital One, many restaurants. Restaurants can't afford to be there because restaurants would likely want to be in a rent range of about $8,500, and unfortunately our taxes are about $8,500 a month. I've gone to Anthony's Coal Fire, I've gone to Chard, I've gone to CVS. We talked to them about maybe developing the whole property. And in every corner we turned and due diligence was done, we were turned down with every prospect. The only other person who wanted to go to was maybe Bowler, but they wanted to take down all 3 buildings. Somewhere the entrances into Baldwin have to start looking nice. You know, I get why people won't want it or they do want it or whatever. But somewhere, it's got to start somewhere. And right now, it's been decades. Every project has been turned down. Every project has been put aside. I come in from Oceanside into Baldwin on Merrick Road. And what do I see? I see vacant stores. I see fences up. Just projects that, for some reason, aren't going forward. Where we're willing to put in the money and the time, I think that has to be taken into consideration. As far as traffic, I live right there for 35 years. the traffic isn't going to change. It's going to be what it always was. It's not going to change. The accidents that people are talking about, I've been in business for 23 years there. I don't see these accidents. You know, I know that we want to make it worse than what it is, but the truth is, rush hour is busy. Grand Avenue, Atlantic Avenue, go down Merrick Road. It takes me 45 minutes to get to my daughter's house in Seaford. This is life. This is what we've created. I hope the board takes into consideration. We want to beautify this corner. We want, when people come into Baldwin, we want them to say, hey, maybe this is a place I'd like to live. They're not going to feel that way with vacant stores and projects that never go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pellegrino. I don't have any other slips. Is there anybody who did not sign in that wishes to be heard? Okay, Mr. Vanessa, before we close up, a couple of questions I do, kind of stuck with me on this one. The traffic study for the area, when was that conducted?
I was going to call up Ms. LaRosa, our
Please.
traffic expert. Ms. LaRosa has appeared before this board and been qualified as a traffic expert to provide opinion testimony. I would ask that she be permitted to do so today.
Yeah.
She can speak to the traffic study and provide you with an overview of what was performed and what the conclusions are.
Okay.
Good morning. I'm Amanda LaRosa with Stonefield Engineering. For the record, our office is at 584 Broadway, Suite 310, New York, New York. As you've heard, I'm the traffic engineer for the applicant. My firm did prepare the traffic impact study, which was last revised in September of this year, and our counts were completed in March of this year on a day where school is in session, and we've confirmed that the weather conditions were acceptable. The findings of our study conclude that the gas station is not expected to negatively impact the traffic conditions on the adjacent roadway, and this conclusion is largely attributed to the proposed site being a relocation of the existing store on the northwest corner of the intersections, as well as customers' tendency to visit convenience stores and gas stations that are already along their routes during peak hours. Industry standards pertaining to this type of interaction indicates that more than 50% of patrons to a gasoline and convenience store are already on the road and passing by this location, or are only stopping because it's convenient to do so. In addition to assessing the trip volumes, as you've heard, we did confirm that there are no negative impacts to the signal at Grand Avenue and Atlantic Avenue. We've coordinated with the county, and they've agreed with the findings. We've also conducted a queue study along Grand Avenue. As you've heard, there's some congestion on that northbound approach. Our findings did show that the site's driveway location is intermittently blocked, and as a mitigation for this condition, we are proposing a do not block the box in front of the site driveway to encourage efficient access to and from the site. Additionally, as you've heard from Mr. Benesso, the applicant has reached out to the neighbors, similarly hearing their concerns about blockage in front of their driveways, and has agreed to pursue both a no parking along the east side of Grand Avenue as well as a do not block the box in front of the condos' driveways.
Okay. Question for you. When did you conduct your traffic study, if you can give us the timetable there so we know?
So our counts were conducted in March of 2023. Our study looks at a typical weekday morning time period from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., as well as in the evening from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then within that time frame, we identify the peak hour of the most heavily trafficked time, and that's what our analysis is contingent upon.
Okay.
Ms. LaRosa, can you speak to the accident record at this intersection?
Yeah, absolutely. We reviewed the accident history, hearing the concerns from the residents. And to start that accident study, we requested 5 years of data from the DOT. So that goes from the middle of 2017 to the middle of 2022, just based on available records, because there's a little lag between logging the accidents from the police department and when the state DOT actually gets those accidents. We're seeing a frequency of just over 1 accident per month. And the important part here is that the severity of the accidents is not very high. We didn't see any fatalities over the span of 7 years. Most collisions were side swipes and rear ends, which are very common at red lights when traffic is starting and stopping, and there's not many options to mitigate it other than removing the traffic signal, which is not desirable here.
I understand that the average number of accidents is about 14 a year.
That's correct. There were 70 collisions in 5 years, which comes out to about 14 per year.
So that's about 1 a month?
1 a month.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Vanessa, the other question I have for you is a couple of the residents raised the notice.
Yes,
The fact
the
that they've.
notice. I'm happy to address the notice.
Yeah, if you would.
This board granted the date for this hearing on, I believe, November 19th. I think that's when they scheduled the public hearing. We received the notice shortly thereafter, and then we mailed it out immediately before. The town requires 10 days. We mailed it out in advance of 10 days. Similarly, we posted the property in advance of the requirement. In addition, we included with the notice a letter to all the residents indicating, providing more information than the notice provides, because the notice simply says what the name of the applicant is, what's being proposed where, and when the public hearing is. We provided a letter providing a great deal of information and offering to address questions or concerns. They could contact me, and that they could contact the town to take a look at the records. Okay. In addition to that, shortly after that, before the Thanksgiving holiday, I did reach out to the Baldwin Civic Association via Willie Zambrano. You're shaking your head, Ms. Montalbano, but I can assure you that it was before Thanksgiving that I emailed Mr. Zambrano with a copy of the site plan and a detailed explanation of what we were proposing. He got back to me last week. We conversed. I provided him more information. Then he got back to me yesterday. At no time were we asked to meet. But that being said, we have offered from day one, because we know this decision is not going to be made today. We know the zoning board, the town board typically closes the hearing and reserves decision. I've advised Mr. Zambrano, and he has copied other board members on the email, that we're prepared to meet and discuss these things in greater detail, as we told the residents of the condo association as well, condo development as well. So we certainly followed and actually went above and beyond the notice requirement in providing timely notice to the necessary parties and with more information than is required. Okay. Now, just addressing some of the other issues other than the traffic, which I think Ms. LaRosa has adequately addressed. The assertion that this is...
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
The assertion that this is next to residential property and it just simply cannot be. If the board looks at page 7, you'll see 4 other existing 7-Eleven GSS sites in the town of Hempstead, all abutting residential property that this town board approved. If the board looks at any number on page 9 of the convenience store and gasoline service stations within the town of Hempstead, almost all of them are adjacent to residential property. The town board has approved GSS applications adjacent to residential properties on a regular basis. It is commonplace. There have not been health issues, certainly not on the newer sites. The newer sites with their double-walled tanks, with their vapor lock systems, they have addressed those items significantly. And certainly the assertion that this simply cannot happen because it's going to negatively affect the community. This is a commercial site. This is a business X zone site. Any number of business uses could be put on this site. Some commercial activity is going to take place here. You heard from Mr. Pellegrino. This is not a situation where he has his choice of developers to go on this site. He has tried to redevelop this site, and there has not been interest. If you look at page...
Ma'am, please.
You look at page 11, Baldwin Freeport Atlantic Avenue Corridor commercial vacancies. There are 15 vacancies shown just on that sheet. The only way you're going to have revitalization take place in the Baldwin area is if you approve projects like this. Is it ideal for the residents? Perhaps not. But certainly the mitigation that my client is prepared to implement is significant to address any impact on the peaceful use and enjoyment of the neighboring property. The high trees, the sound attenuation walls, the light shielding, all of the other things, the do not block the box. They are trying to improve this site and this intersection. But it's not their job to fix all the traffic woes associated with this intersection or Atlantic Avenue or Grand Avenue. It's to mitigate and address any impacts that they will create, and they have certainly done that. Now, the assertions that this looks pretty, but will it be that way? I welcome the board to go to any of the sites, and the last page, the last couple of pages show you sites and welcome walls that Mr. Mann has developed. I welcome you to go to any and all of them and take a look at how they're maintained. They are well maintained, well manicured, they are nicely landscaped, and they stay that way. And certainly, all of the, and this board knows full well, all of the mitigation, all of the accommodations that ultimately get provided in association with this application will be made conditions of the approval, and then a declaration of restrictive covenants will be required by the town board to be recorded against the property in the Nassau County Clerk's office to run with the land, so that if 7-Eleven were to get up and leave tomorrow after it was developed, the next property owner, the next occupant is bound by those same requirements. So consequently, there's continuity. But that has not been necessary because, again, if you look at the sites that have been developed by my client, I welcome you to go take a look at any of them and take a look and see, and you'll see just how nicely landscaped, how well maintained the sites are.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Benessa. We appreciate it. Any member of the board wish to be heard? Well, I think Mr. Benessa has made a potential motion very, very easy on this. Anybody have a motion?
Yes, Supervisor, in light of all of the items that we need to review, I am making a motion that the board reserve decision on this proposal.
Second from the Deputy Supervisor. May I call the roll?
Supervisor Clavin?
Yeah, I will. Mr. Benessa, I do acknowledge you said you understood we were going to adjourn it. Thank you. I do, appreciate your presentation, but as you can see, I think there's work to be done.
Oh, no question. And we expected that. And as I said, we are prepared to continue to meet with the community, meet with the civics.
Okay.
We're happy to do so.
Okay, thank you. I vote aye.
You voted?
Yeah.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Councilman Dunn?
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryder?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all the residents who came out. And reserved decision means that the decision's been reserved. Nothing's been approved here today, and you should follow up. And we'll, absolutely. All right. Thank you all for coming out. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have the administrative calendar here. There are items 30 through 89 on that calendar. I also have 2 items of an urgent or emergency nature. The first emergency resolution adopts a secret negative declaration and determination of non-significance in connection with an application for site plan approval for a parcel of land located in East Meadow, New York. And the second emergency resolution approves overall layout site plan submitted by RMB Development Consultants Incorporated on behalf of 1640 Hempstead IG, LLC, in connection with building application 22-8861 for the proposed subdivision and construction of 1-story and 2-story self-storage facilities, including associated site improvements located on the south side of Hempstead Turnpike and 247.36 feet east of Merrick Avenue in East Meadow, Town of Hempstead.
Madam Clerk, what would those be numbered?
Those items will be 90 and 91.
Okay. Does any member of the board wish to speak on any of the items on the administrative calendar? Okay. I have a couple of slips on the administrative calendar here. We'll start with Felix Bacacci.
Move it first.
Oh, well, I guess I could move it first, Madam Clerk.
You could.
Ms. Bacacci, name and address?
Felix Procacci, Franklin Square. On item number 74, I oppose the appointment of the special referee to conduct the eminent domain hearing of the property at 434 Hempstead Turnpike. This referee will serve no purpose except to waste taxpayer money and provide a guise of legitimacy for the town's illegal actions. The evidence shows this town government has already made up its mind to close the Capri Motel by any means possible and has no interest in following the law. First, the town buildings department declared this property a public nuisance on August 7th, 3 weeks before the public nuisance hearing was held on August 31st. Second, the building department did not give the owners any opportunity to fix the purported violations. And finally, on September 6th, the town board failed to follow their own council's instructions and without any debate unanimously voted to declare this property a public nuisance. Clearly, this special referee is just the town's attempt to legitimize its illegal process. Even the text of this resolution contradicts the results of the town's own building inspections. In January 2022 and 2023, the town's chief of buildings department found no violations. And on May 19th and August 7th, inspections also did not find any violations to indicate this building has deteriorated to the point where it is no longer fit for human habitation as stated in this resolution. Since the town's own records do not indicate the Capri Motel is not fit for human habitation, there is no legitimate reason for this town to vote for this resolution. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Picacci. Next, I have Chris Brown. Name and address, please.
Hi, good afternoon, Supervisor members. Christian Brown, McLaughlin and Stern, 1122 Franklin Avenue, Garden City. I'm appearing on item number 74. As you know, my firm is co-counsel representing the owner of the Capri Motel, 434 Hempstead Turnpike. Thank you for adjourning the earlier hearing today, but I also need to, for the record, I also have to object to the appointment of a special referee. As you may know, under the eminent domain proceedings law, we're required to put any possible objections to the proceedings on the record in order to preserve them in the event that there's litigation surrounding any condemnation. And I would ask the board to take a look at the authority to appoint a special referee. It's not provided for in the eminent domain proceeding law. It's not provided in the town law. It doesn't appear to us to be a proper way for the board to proceed if, in fact, the board wishes to consider the condemnation of this property. So for those reasons, we would object to the appointment of a special referee, and I would ask the board and the town attorney to look at the statute again before proceeding forward with the use of such an officer to conduct the hearing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brown. Next, I have Pearl Jacob.
Pearl Jacobs, Uniondale. I'm encouraged that the town decided to move the eminent domain hearing regarding the Capri Motel to an evening meeting to allow more of the public to attend. Your administration was also considerate enough to notify the West Hempstead community of the special August 31st hearing to declare the Capri Motel a public nuisance. Unfortunately, your administration wasn't as considerate to communities concerned about the town's redistricting process. Community leaders were not given notice of the November 15, 2022 meetings to establish a temporary redistricting commission and call redistricting hearings. Also, Supervisor Clavin, you contacted the press regarding the Capri Motel hearing and urged residents to attend the special August 31st hearing, but you did not, nor any of the town council members, urge or even personally notify the public to attend the redistricting meetings. In contrast, your administration put out no press release, and Councilwoman Gooseby refused to even discuss the issue within the community she represents at any of these redistricting hearings. Also, in addition to the shutting down the Capri Motel, which is a good thing, but also on the other end of that, where did these displaced residents go? A lot of them had drug issues, psychological issues. Where did they go? I hope they did not go to Uniondale, Roosevelt, Hempstead, and Freeport, where 96% of all homeless shelters and social service shelters are located. So you can shut down these facilities, but you're missing the big part of treatment for these people.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jacobs. Cara Alvarez? Hi. You don't want to speak? Okay. Monica Keeley? You do have a name and address for the record?
Monica Kiley, 95 Huntington Road in Garden City. I wanted to talk about items number 56, 57, and 58. I'd like to point out that in a recent opinion poll conducted by Siena College and Newsday, that 49% of Nassau County residents oppose having a casino in Nassau, and only 42% of Nassau County residents support this idea. I suspect that the real numbers are even more lopsided than this. Everyone I speak to is opposed to the casino unless they are being compensated in some way. It's miraculous that people are waking up to the fact that they can oppose the casino. We've been told since the very beginning by Nassau County and anybody connected with Nassau County that this is a done deal. It's my opinion that media outlets such as Newsday have perpetuated this idea. Now, thankfully, Nassau County residents are waking up to the fact that they actually can oppose the casino, and I was very heartened by the results of that survey. It's been pointed out earlier today that the town of Hempstead sends us a ton of mailings, a lot of public education about things in town of Hempstead and also larger issues like Hochul's housing plan. I got a ton of mailings on that. But there's been zero public education by the town of Hempstead about the casino issue, and it's huge. I want to know if you cannot openly represent us as in and oppose the casino yourselves, as most of us do oppose it. If you can't do that, can you educate the public? Can you at least inform us about the process? When will the secret hearings be? Will they be here at the town? Will they be at the county? At least don't keep your own constituents in the dark. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Kiley, in response to your comment, I think it's very fitting that my Chief of Staff, Jack Libbert, address exactly what we're doing today and the manner we're doing it in a very open, transparent proceeding and notifying people. That's part of our belief in this process. Jack, why don't you explain to Ms. Kiley exactly what we are undertaking today and what we are committing to?
Sure. So the Sands Corporation, like anybody else who has a lease or owns property, has made an application to the board for a change of zone. The board is obligated, more or less, to hear it and to give it a fair hearing. The first step in that, because it is such a big project, is making an environmental determination. And today, the board has determined, consistent with some of the things that have been said, that the project is likely to have a significant negative environmental impact. It's funny because the word POSDEC sounds like you're saying something positive, but it's just the opposite. You're saying that, no, there's very likely something wrong here. There's very likely something negative, and therefore the burden is on the applicant to show what they're going to do to mitigate that, or if they can. And then the board considers that. So that's the background story. In terms of the next step, there is what they call a scoping session. Now, under secret law, it does not have to be public, but the board has made a determination that we want it to be public, and you can. And so therefore, we've set a session. It will be held both in the morning and in the evening. I don't know the exact times yet. And we anticipate having it at the Marriott Hotel so that there's, in the ballroom, so that there's plenty of room to accommodate everybody. At that time, the applicant will present its proposed scope. When I say scope, that means what do we intend to study, and to what extent do we intend to study it. So, for instance, we know traffic is going to be a major issue, and they
Before
have
you
to
continue,
No, Ms. Kelly, I'm gonna let him respond first, and then
Okay,
you have a little more
sorry.
time.
Okay, I'm
That's okay.
sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
So they will say in their scoping document, yes, we're going to study traffic. We intend to study intersections A through Z or whatever the intersections are. We will have that reviewed by our engineers. We've hired Nelson and Pope, who are, very well known in this field. And they will come back at some point and after the scoping hearing and say, either that's perfect, an unlikely scenario, or, listen, we get it, we understand what you're saying, but you've missed this item, that item, and the other item, and we want you to add those to your scope. Eventually, a scoping document will be finalized. The board will have to say, okay, that's adequate, and at that point, or it's inadequate, and at that point, they're going to start the preparation for submission of what they call a draft environmental impact statement. Now, there are more steps after that, but I think for purposes of today, that's what we've done, and that's what will take place. And there will be public hearings all along the way.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think residents need to, be made aware of, we recognize the scope of this. We recognize the fact that residents want to be included. We recognize they want to be heard. That's why we've told basically the applicant we're not having that hearing here. We're having it in a form that will be available, that will have adequate parking. And we've also made the determination that the meeting, tentatively we expect to probably 10 a.m. and then a 6 p.m. Why? To give the ability for people to attend the hearing, both day and night. In addition to that, and I'd like the town attorney to also inform how many entities will be informing today about this taking place? Almost 50. So, I think we can tell people that we're going to do this in a manner that they're going to know. We're going to let residents know. But, you just don't send out, something that isn't informing them. Well, now we're informing residents, and today was the first step. And we invite you, and we invite any of the neighbors throughout the town of Hempstead to come on down for that initial date hearing, and come in day, and if you can't come in the day, you come at night. That's the purpose of it, and that's the step that the town's taking. And you know what? And I appreciate your presentation, Jack. I thought it was very, very thorough on that. Did you have a follow-up comment or question?
I do. It's a complicated process and a complicated issue. So although I spoke about mailings, we would really spend a ton of money on mailings if we were going to do that. Can there be a separate spot on the Town of Hempstead website to give information and give notice of hearings so that people don't have to search for the information? Maybe something on your homepage?
We are actually going to create a link. I don't know if it's been done yet, but we were working on it late last week. We're going to create a link on the homepage that will send you to a whole separate page with respect to the casino resort issue.
Yeah, like I said,
all the documents. I'm sorry.
No, please, Jack.
All the documents will be up there. Everything that we receive will be posted up there.
Yeah, again, residents have given some very thoughtful recommendations, and we've tried to accommodate, and that was one of them. And just like I said, people have talked about the meeting location, and we recognize that sometimes the parking can be difficult here at Town Hall. A couple of residents had to go out and throw the meters. I'm sure the village is going to be a little upset. They might not get all the parking meter that day. But again, we look forward to seeing it at the meeting. We look forward to seeing residents throughout the town, throughout the region, and who knows where else for the initial meeting. Let it be day or night when you show up.
Was there any other site considered besides the Marriott? It's kind of like enemy turf to me.
Well, the problem with location was we tried to be very, very diplomatic in saying, you know what, we wanted to appear in a more of a neutral location, and we felt that was the neutral location. That is the location potentially of it. That is a location that could provide ample parking. That's a location that there isn't any litigation of a potential host. A long time ago, there was a hearing, and it was held at a university. You know what, we're trying to avoid any of that, and that we really felt that that was the proper location for it. And like I said, and I think the venue will be size enough that if there's a handful of people, there's a handful of people. If it's crowded, you know, you're going to be able to park there, and you're going to be able to go in there. And we really, you know, we kind of had a talk about the different locations throughout the town, and really that kind of came into, there's your location. We thought that was the one that would fit the bill, right, Jack?
Yes, and I should point out that the town attorney can certainly back me up on this, and as you know, John has been working with me hand in glove. The Marriott is not part of the application, even though I believe that the applicants have some kind of option on it or something. It is
I believe
not.
the two leases were combined into one lease.
I don't think that has happened yet.
False? Okay.
They have a right to do that down the road, but at the moment, it's not something that they have. Or every location that we thought of that would be big enough has some kind of potential issue about, you know, being biased one way or the other. We tried to find this as the best neutral location. There's not a big enough ballroom at the Capri Motor Inn.
On that note, thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Very well done, Jack. Well done. I don't have any other slips on the administrative count. Is there anybody that did not sign it that would like to be heard? Sure, if you come on back, Mr. Jacobs. Mr. Jacobs, just give me name and address. That'd be great. Thanks.
James B. Jacobs, Uniondale. I'd like to speak on item number 30, first clarification of location of the two properties in Uniondale. On the emergency application on 90 and 91, I noticed there's been a common practice that sometime I attend these meetings that these applications be added to the agenda. It has not been posted on the website so people can review it and understand it.
Okay.
That tend to be an issue.
Okay.
And also,
What was the one you had on number 30? What do you want to ask?
the location, the two houses and whatever the properties in Uniondale.
Okay, so hold on.
And 90, 91, the same thing. You know, square footage of the storage facility.
Buildings? Freddie? Danny? You heard you like? Danny? Stop. You're limping up. I feel bad now. Freddie's quicker. All right. Freddie, if you identify yourself, I appreciate it.
Supervisor, Deputy Supervisor, Board Members, Fred Jowitz, Building Department 10 of Hempstead. You'd like the two addresses in Uniondale, and they are 1312 Cambria Street in Uniondale, and also 899 Jerusalem Avenue in Uniondale.
So are they both private houses or the commercial buildings?
No, one is a commercial building, is an abandoned and open building. That was the former fire marshal building, which was open and deemed an emergency and boarded up, and the other is a private residence.
Okay.
You know, on 90 and 91, for the square footage, the property could be in East Meadow.
Yeah. For 90 and 91 square footage?
Yeah, because it was an emergency thing that's not listed, but the town clerk spoke about it. Ms. Murphy.
Dan Leo, Deputy Commissioner, Building Department. On items 90 and 91, that isn't a typical storage unit. These are drive-up units, so it's going to be more of a modular type setup than a conventional building that you would have for storage. So to give you an actual square footage, imagine a shipping container next to each other in a row. That's basically what this particular site is going to be looking like.
About how tall would it be, sir?
A typical shipping container, 10 foot high, and they're 1 level and 2 levels, so you're looking at 20 plus feet in height.
So about 3 levels?
On the 2 level, and on the 1 level, roughly 10 feet in height.
So about 3 levels tall, 2 levels tall?
No, it's not going to be 3. It's proposed 1 and 2 at this point.
And also, I just have a question for Town Attorney or Mr. Jack, the Chief of Staff. Being that you propose this thing for item 56, 57, 58 at the Marriott, I know some past practices that when notices come out, that the local resident of Uniondale tend not to be either, if they do get there, they either have to stand in the back or not seated in the front, and it'd be flooded by, and I'm a union person for over 30 some odd years, which I have nothing against the union. But it tend to be a lot of people from outside Uniondale Hamlet.
Mr. Jacobs, it's, I can't, if somebody gets there and camps out at, 6 in the morning,
but
we can't do it, so.
Well, I'm saying, sir, it's just point of clarification, because, you're an esquire, you're a lawyer, you know how to deal with it.
I sit in the back, because that's what I like to do. Ask my kids. I sit there for the concert last night. I was in the back row. That's why I like to sit. When I was in law school, I sat in the back row. I did the crossword puzzle. It's amazing. I passed the bar.
Mr. Clavin, we know that you're smart, okay? I'm not going to take.
I'm just telling you. Listen, we made it accommodating, but residents can come. Anybody comes in, they take the seats. I've been at this, and some residents get in the front. And I get what you're saying. Sometimes other entities get in the front. It's first come, first serve at the forum. But if someone speaks and they're done and they can go to the back, we hope they accommodate.
Mr. Clavin and the lawyer for the town of Hempstead, I understand what you're saying, Mr. Clavin, Supervisor Clavin, Deputy Supervisor Gooseby. But here's the thing. When you have these meetings and they're flooded by union people and they're supposed to be representing the people of Uniondale, I think that's really a disservice. Because if you understand when things are supposed to be done publicly, when everyone has a chance to speak, especially in an area that's directly affected, I think the residents should have at least have a chance to be heard and be spoken about. Also,
Mr. Jacobs, just to interject, you will. It's not like we're saying that. In fact, to the contrary, we're trying to make sure that we're accommodating that everybody is heard in the process. That's why we're doing it day and a night. Just because somebody sits in the front row, big deal. The voice of a resident matters. And that's why we actually ask for residents' addresses, too, because we like to know the difference of somebody who lives in the town compared to somebody who doesn't live in the town.
When I attended a meeting at Hofstra University, and also when I attended at the county, I have a different experience from that, what you just now said, Mr. Clavin. Hopefully they will have that common practice that it will actually be done. Because I noticed that everybody is for this, as long as they're not in their backyard, and being directly affected, especially now, I was hearing that they may have a special district for this, even if it does go through, which only God knows for sure, that they may not consider part of that union once you allow the town of Hempstead allegedly for allowing them to create the special district for them. There's so many different issues that hopefully will be addressed at this meeting. And like the lady said before so eloquently, I hope they do their due diligence to make sure that everybody get a timely notice when to be there, both the AM, PM meeting.
Okay. You got it, Ms. Jacobs. Thanks. Appreciate it, as always. Anybody else who that's it? Yeah. Mr. Jacobs. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Supervisor Clayton. How are you?
Good.
That's good. Basically, to piggyback off of what everybody was talking about, item 56 and 57 and 58, I know being from Uniondale, I know the many issues. It's been labeled a disadvantaged community by the New York State DEC. Part of the issues, we're a transit desert. We have waste management crisis here on Long Island. And I actually echo the sentiments of the Baldwin residents who came and opposed that gas station, because basically the Sands project is the same thing as the gas project, except 1,000 times worse. So everything they said, I can concur. We have an inadequate road network, but also I just want to talk and ask you personally, what method besides on the website is the town of Hempstead going to use to communicate to the residents about these meetings?
We're going to be talking about many different, could be potentially mail, and it could be emails.
Oh, good. So I'll be able to see it on your around the town letter?
Hey, you never know. We'll see.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, that'll be a great thing.
I'm glad you read it. I'm glad you enjoy it. We try to have a little fun with it every week with a good little joke at the end.
I like that. So like you always say, take that in advisement. I want that.
There you go.
And also the capacity issues, like, they said basically, like with the county meetings I went to, it was overwhelmed with people. They didn't check at the door as they should have, because, a lot of residents didn't even live in Nassau County. And I think that should be, but that's all things to take into consideration. So hopefully I'll be seeing it in the mailing, because like I said, there's a lot of people I know in the community.
But listen, you can't say to somebody, you don't live in the town, you can't speak. But if you notice, that's why I say to people at the meeting, can you give your address? Because it's important for residents to know, because you've been to a lot of the public hearings that maybe, somebody would be like, hey, I'm from Westchester, New York. And you're sort of like, wow, you're down here talking about this thing, happening in Valley Stream. That's why we asked for it. And it's similar, we'll be asking at those meetings as well.
Good. I'm glad you said that, because what I'm advocating for is that the residents have the same opportunity that the other insiders know, that they are able to attend the meetings either the day or the night one. As long as they have the fair opportunity to show up, it's on their choice, but just give them the fair opportunity to be able to do that.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Jacobs. Nice seeing you. Anybody else wish to be heard? All right. Oh, no follow-up, Ms. Connolly. I'm sorry, but it's one time only. That's it. We'll stick around after. You could talk to Jack if you got a follow-up after. All right? It doesn't work. You only get to speak once. I'm sorry. But you can speak by the way, we have the public comment section after. You can talk after. You can talk in the public section. There you go. Then I have a motion on the administrative calendar.
I move the administrative calendar from 30 through 91. Second motion.
Seconded by? Dennis Dunn?
Second.
All right.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini. Aye. Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Okay, now that the formal program is done, the town will remain to listen to the comments of residents. We have a couple of residents that signed in, and we'll start off with our very own Felix Bacacci. Good afternoon, name and address.
Felix Procacci, Franklin Square. The eminent domain procedure, Chapter 73, Article 2, titled Conduct of the Public Hearing, says, at the public hearing, the condemner shall outline the purpose, proposed location, or alternate locations of the public project and any other information it considers pertinent, including maps and property descriptions of the property to be acquired and adjacent parcels. So far, this town has not proposed any specific project to replace the Capri Motel, nor has it indicated what will it cost the taxpayers. Currently, the town is involved in 3 court cases related to this property. If history is any guide, these cases will be in the courts for many years, and the cost to the town will be hundreds of thousands of dollars. If the town votes to take this property by eminent domain, it will mean even more litigation. Based on the information provided, the eminent domain hearing of January 30th will essentially be a repeat of the August 31st hearing where the same inaccurate evidence was used to declare the Capri Motel a public nuisance, will be rehashed to justify the taking of the property by eminent domain. To be in compliance with the open meetings and eminent domain laws, the town needs to provide a legitimate justification for the taking of this property, including the public project it is proposing prior to the January 30th hearing. For example, the town's FOIL response for all complaints that would be considered at the eminent domain hearing did not contain any resident complaints. Also, the police records provided show only 194 responses, not the 597 stated at the public hearing of August 31st, and less than half are alleged crimes. The town should not be able to take personal property by allegations alone. Whatever the truth is, needs to be provided comprehensively and accurately prior to this hearing to be in compliance with the law. If the town-appointed referee does not insist on this minimal amount of information before the proceeding, this will demonstrate he is either not qualified or biased and should be fired. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bacacci. Next, I have Pearl Jacobs. Good afternoon, name and address, please.
Pearl Jacobs, Uniondale. Listen, I have the environmental impact proposal in front of me. It's daunting. It's a lot of concerning issues for our environment here in Nassau County in respect to the proposed casino. There's an abundance of environmental issues concerning and pertaining to air, water, traffic, noise, etc. regarding this proposed casino project. Traffic congestion is a major issue in Nassau County currently. And of course, again, I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to say it again. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has identified Uniondale, Roosevelt, Hempstead, and Newcastle as disadvantaged communities that have been adversely affected by air pollution, primarily as a result of vehicle emissions. Uniondale's asthma rates among our youth, ages infants to 17 years old, is 17%, substantially higher than that of majority communities in Nassau County. Our roadways do not permit commercial vehicles. The increase in bus traffic, truck traffic, commercial vehicles would inundate our roadways within 10 miles in radius of this proposed casino. Our secondary roadways, our residential roadways would be receiving and getting increased commercial vehicle traffic. We would hope that you would take all of this in consideration. The report definitely states all of these concerns that needs to be addressed. I would doubt that these concerns would be able to be mitigated in time to go forward with this casino project. Going forward with this project would definitely be disadvantaged not only to the host community of Uniondale, but as to the other surrounding communities of Uniondale, not only Uniondale, but the other surrounding communities within a 10-mile radius. It would be disadvantage to our way of life. It would hurt our environment, our water, our sole source aquifer. We have a lot of concerns, and we would definitely hope that this would be addressed. Moving forward with a project of this magnitude, inclusive of these environmental issues and these concerns, would be none other than environmental injustice to our communities. Now, getting back to these open meetings, I would hope that these open meetings will be fair, and they would be fair to the residents that come to speak on their communities where they live. The legislative meetings it was horrible because you had people, my husband had an intoxicated man with a sign sitting next to him at a legislative meeting, okay? So before you have these meetings, you should have these people vetted at the door to make sure they are Nassau County residents.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Jacobs, we appreciate it. Next, I have Karen Maltabano. She's gone? Karen's gone? Okay. Next, I have Ms. Kiley again. How you doing? Just give your name and address again. Thank you.
Monica Kiley, 95 Huntington Road, Garden City, New York. I want to follow up about the residency issue. I realize they're public hearings. They're open to the public. That's great. But every time I get up to speak here or at Nassau County hearings, I'm asked where I live. And I noticed at the Nassau County hearings that anybody who worked for a union got up and stated the union that they worked for. So they can live in Ronkonkoma, but they get to speak at the Nassau County hearing, and it's assumed that they're a resident too, but they're not. They're just hoping to get a job, a construction job. So I also noticed at the Nassau County hearings that when former New York Governor Patterson got up to speak, he was introduced as former Governor Patterson, and his role as a salaried executive, paid executive of the LV Sands Corporation was downplayed. And it just gives a false impression, and I hope that our Town of Hempstead meetings are conducted in a different manner, and that residents who actually live in Nassau County are acknowledged as such, and that people who live outside the county are identified as living outside the county, and that people who are paid and compensated by the Sands Corporation will be identified as such. Okay, thanks.
Well, that's what I said. That's why we asked for the residency, and when somebody gives a residency as a union hall, okay, we take note of that, and we also take notice of when a resident says they live in Uniondale or Levittown. So that's why I like to ask the question, because it's always important for us to know. Next, I have Lynn Krug. Good afternoon. If you just give me a name and address for the record. Hi, name and address for the record. How you doing?
My name is Lynn Krug, as in the champagne. Krug, I don't know where that comes from, Mr. Clavin. But anyway.
A lot of people call me Calvin, a lot of people call me Clavin, so I apologize. I say it all the time.
Always
if I don't say your name right, it's not meant to offend, so I apologize.
That's okay. The reason I'm here, I want to give you a background. I worked for Consolidated Edison Company of New York for 44 years. I was in charge of the conflict of interest survey and business ethics and the evaluation of submitted forms. So when I saw the report in Newsday that your ethics forms were not submitted on time, I kind of took notice. I don't know how you collect your forms. We had an automated process that I controlled. I surveyed 13,000 employees every year. We evaluated all the responses, anything that was questionable. I worked in conjunction with the Vice President and General Auditor of Con Ed, and we took care of business. I think today, posting forms late really doesn't help your transparency, and it also doesn't enable you to keep track of what's going on. We also required employees to update a filed form anytime their information changed. And I think this is critical now that the SANS is influencing people. I think it's important to have an automated system to control this. It's very, very important. Back in 2017, Erin King Sweeney stated, as far as I'm concerned, the more transparency, the better. The public has a right to know about any potential conflicts of interest. So I think this is a very important issue, and it's even in your town code. You know, you're supposed to disclose your forms, and they're due for many town employees and officials by May 15th. And they cover the previous year. I get it. The form you're doing it as real time. It happens now. This is what I'm reporting. But I also think a requirement should be added that anytime the information changes, whether it's removed or updated, a new form goes out. That way, we won't be reading about these violations in Newsday. And I think you guys can do a better job with that. I just think if you do the right thing and you be transparent and you follow the law, there's not going to be a problem. That's what I'm saying. Ethics is important. And, you know, one other thing that has me very concerned, that if this casino project...
Okay, thank you very, very much. You can always follow up with an email. We appreciate you coming down. I don't have any of the slips for the public comment section. Anybody did not sign in wishes to be heard? If not, then I wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Kwanzaa, and a blessed New Year to everyone and their families. God bless, and thank you, and a Happy Hanukkah. Thank you very much for correcting that as well. Thank you all for coming. And Friday, if you'd like to join us at our holiday lighting ceremony in the gazebo, the Deputy Supervisor Dorothy Gooseby Gazebo, Felix Percacci, please join us. Thank you all.